Hey guys, it's Ivan from Indoor Ivan. I hope you're doing well. Today we are going to be doing another garden tour to finish off the month of July. So we're going to start at the front of the house and I'll show you what's going on. Alright, so we're starting right at the sidewalk. As you can see, those are the Schatza daisies that I bought earlier this spring. They have finished flowering. So right now I don't think the Schatza daisies are doing a whole lot. There was some dead growth. I'm not sure if it was because the dogs in the neighborhood were peeing on them or if they're a little bit overwatered, but some of the stems weren't doing so well. And then if you go across, you can see all of the French marigolds that I grew from seed, and they are doing lovely. And behind it, you can see the hens and chicks there. So if you look at the hens and chicks, most of them have finished flowering. There are a few flowers left on them, if you can see. But sadly, after hens and chicks finish flowering, the plant ends up dying. So the chicks end up taking over. And then if you go up here, you can see another hens and chicks flowering there, and some more marigolds, and that Solomon seal there. On the other side, it's pretty much the same thing. Some marigolds, Solomon seal, and then the Schatza daisy, which is the taller variety, is almost finished flowering. I have been trying to deadhead it just to keep it looking tidy there. And if we go up, this is kind of this area here. You have lots of lady's mantle, which is flowering. Beside it is the Japanese maple. And our iris that has finished flowering there. In this area, there's the balsam that I planted from seed. They're flowering, which is lovely. Behind it is the Japanese maple, Japanese painted fern in that area there, and it is growing well. It's a lot taller this year. And then if you look down at the soil, you can see some small seedlings of lady's mantle. So I've kind of let that just grow there. So I'm hoping that it eventually spreads and fills the rest of this area. You can see what's left of the daffodils. So I leave those leaves so that way they can grab lots of sun. Usually they'll stay green for like 6 or so weeks, and as they die, I pull them off. So this is what's left of my primula, and beside it there is an animal tunnel. Not sure what's living in there. It could be some chipmunks in the neighborhood. Some periwinkle, and then you can see the remnants of daffodils, another primula, and a hens and chicks there. So a lot of them are flowering this year, and as you can see, that mother hen there is slowly dying off. So here's my snake plant from inside. It is growing well. That floppy leaf that was a concern earlier has stiffened up, so that is good to know. And then beside it, we have one of the ficuses that had survived the winter. So some new leaves have been pushed out, which is good because growing in the basement where it was cold and not getting a lot of light, it wasn't doing so well. And then if we come up, some plants from my classroom. So here's a philodendron, not doing so well actually, it's kind of yellow. Might need to fertilize that. My ZZ plant, that's there. And then we have my fern, which has pushed out a new leaf. And then my classroom spider plant, which has greened up quite a bit, even though it's under the porch. So it only gets morning sun, but it has greened up a lot. It used to be very pale, so it's nice to see it doing well outside. We'll finish up the plants here. there is actually it's a whale fin. Someone's picking that up later today that I propagated. Over here, another spider plant, which is doing well. It's sending out some flowers, as you can see there. So I'll have some new babies. The ferns over here seem to be doing better. So there's more leaves from the fern. The squirrels have tried to get at it, but otherwise it's been growing. And then over here we have my variegated peace lily, which needs water pretty much every other day, or it starts to get wilty like it's doing right now. Another snake plant. My money tree, which has been growing nicely here. The squirrels have been digging at the soil, and sadly, if you can see there, they chewed off the corner of the pot, which is annoying. And then over here I have my monstera. I had to wrap this monstera in squirrel netting because the squirrels were actually digging at the soil quite a bit. You can kind of see the damage that they did. I lost some soil there, but it's doing a lot better after being repotted. There's a new leaf, if you can see that there. And there's another leaf coming right there. So it was good that I repotted it, but the fresh soil was quite attractive to those squirrels. All right, heading back down. We have my Ficus lyrata, which new leaves are growing. Another snake plant here, so lots of little babies are coming up, which is good, and it's a lot paler, that growth there. Oh, it's quite bright. So over here again we have another hens and chick. So there's the hen. Because it was flowering, sadly it ends up dying off, so you can kind of see it going brown. But the little chicks will take over there. Another primula. You can see the remnants of more daffodils as they slowly yellow. I'll pull those off. This area here we have our balsam and our hydrangeas. It's really sunny, so it's kind of hard to see that. And over here we have our lamb's ear. Because I was trying to regreen the grass, I think I overwatered the lamb's ear, and there's kind of little spots all over the lower leaves there. And then as we go across, the daylilies have finished flowering. So they're just green leaves. Behind it you can see the coral bell and the sweet woodruff, and it's gotten a lot bigger this year, which is great to see because I want it to eventually kind of just take over that area. In this little area, it was kind of sad. It was a failed garden bed this year, so I got some plants from Vessi. There were a mixed pack of coral bell, so I actually planted, I can't remember how many, I think it was 12 or 15 along this area. Sadly, none of them ended up growing, so I had to get rid of them mid-July and find something to plant. So right now there are hostas and sweet woodruff, so it's kind of alternating going along this bed. So hopefully the sweet woodruff, which are like these ones here, will spread and kind of fill this area and green it up. Behind it there are some foam flowers which do better in the shade, so hopefully that will fill in that area, and the sweet woodruff will kind of fill in the beds or the bed area further up. So as we come over here, these are the Annabelle hydrangeas. This year has not been a good year for them. Only 3 flowers this year. Besides that, it's just been a lot of lush foliage. Further down below you can see some ferns. So these are autumn ferns, and what is nice about these ferns is that a lot of the new growth that comes out is a bronzy color, so it does add some depth and color here. This was another area that kind of failed this summer. I had some hardy orchids and also some jack-in-the-pulpit that I planted here. Sadly, nothing really came up, so I had to find something else to plant for this growing season. And then further down, because I had to mirror, well, I decided to, didn't have to, I decided to mirror this area with hardy orchids and jack-in-the-pulpit because they didn't grow. Again, I put 3 ferns here. These ones get a lot of late afternoon sun, and they've been growing a lot better. So you can kind of see, if I can grab that leaf, the new leaves come out kind of bronzy, which is nice to see. And down here we have our astilbe, which is flowering. So these were up towards the front, but because I usually can't get a hose easily up there, they didn't get as much water. So planted over here, they're able to get a lot more water, and they seem to be doing a lot better. This one kind of dried out. And then we have some hostas and some daylilies to finish this area. Again, we are under our gigantic English walnut there. And if you take a look further back, these were the bleeding hearts from that Vessi order. Sadly, they ended up being very small. No flowers from these. Hopefully I'll get some flowers next year or the year after. A little bit disappointing, but what can you do? And then further down in this area, which might need some work depending on how the ostrich ferns do, there are 2 ostrich ferns that are growing in there. And then here is my quite neglected fernwood sansevieria. There's leaves and spider webs everywhere. A little bit embarrassing, but it's been doing all right in this area. And then over here we have our Norfolk pine, which has some leaves on it. So it's been doing well and sending out some new growth there, which is great to see. Sadly though, a lot of the older lower branches are yellowing there. So we'll probably have to pull those off at some point. And then to finish off the front part of the house, we have my peace lily, which almost died in the classroom because schools were closed and I wasn't able to pick this plant up for quite a long time. And then some baby spider plants that were also left in the classroom, so they're just kind of hanging on there. Anyways, that is it for this video. I hope you enjoyed that garden tour. Again, if you're new, feel free to subscribe, and if you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up. We will see you next time.